Jake here, going to do a tutorial on the Coulter Wall song Cow Calf Blue Yodel. Had somebody request this in the comments, so if you have a video you want me to do, just put it in the comments. I'll try to get to it eventually. But yeah, this is a fun song. It's off of Little Songs. I've got the album here. Here's the artwork, and definitely go snag a copy of that. It's a fun album. And yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite ones to play on it. I play it on a low F harmonica, and I have a Rocket Low, Hohner Rocket Low here. This isn't the one that I played on the recording. It was actually this low F Thunderbird Hohner, but I've since made it into a country tune harmonica. So this has now become my standard low F here. I love this harmonica though. It's literally right out of the box. It plays great. Yeah, but maybe a little different tone than the one that I used on the record. Yeah, but it's so this sort of whole song was concocted as sort of a Jimmie Rogers type country song. And it's in the title Blue Yodel. So, you know, Jimmie Rogers was the guy that was the blue yodeler. And if you haven't listened to any Jimmie Rogers, which, I mean, if you're listening to this video, you probably have, but definitely go check out some Jimmie Rogers, and also check out Lefty Frizzell singing Jimmie Rogers, because that a lot of the inspiration for what I'm doing on the harmonica on this track comes from his version of I think it's Lefty singing California Blues, maybe. I might be off on that, but it's on the Jimmie Rogers record, and the guy playing harmonica on that track, his name is Wayne Rainey. And I've got, if you dig deep into the history of my channel, you'll find some Wayne Rainey tutorials and me playing like his version of Lost John Boogie. So definitely a big Wayne Rainey fan, and yeah, this is just basically me doing my best Wayne Rainey impersonation here. So, but yeah, this is a fun song, fun solo. We're gonna go through the solo first. There's a tab in the description, or a link to the tab in the description. There's also a link to my Patreon, so please go subscribe to me over there. It's $5 a month for all access to a lot more tutorial video stuff, and also some other content too that I don't put on my YouTube. But yeah, we're just going to go through this solo first, and then we're also going to go through how to chuck like I did on the first verse, and then the fills on the second verse. And there is another version of this song on YouTube from our Live in Front of Nobody record, and it's pretty similar to what I do here. So I think some of the fills are a little different, but you know, they're generally the exact same thing. Especially the solo. Anyways, but yeah, the solo, so you're going to need to know how to tongue block. So right off the bat, it's a 3/6 blow, and I'm not going to dig too deep into tongue blocking, but you know, if you don't know how to do that, go find a video somewhere, or you know, get a Harmonica for Dummies book and figure out how to tongue block. But I'm blocking holes 4 and 5 and playing 3 and 6 out of either side of my tongue. And then it's 3/6 blow, 2/5 draw, 2/5 blow, 1/4 draw, 2/5 blow. So you're keeping that same distance embouchure there, that 2-hole split embouchure as it's called. Okay, so that was the first four measures there, that whole top line of that. And yeah, it's all tongue blocked, and I am doing some slapping in there too, so. Oh, and right off the bat I do it. you'll hear a lot of blues players do that, from Little Walter all the way up to Jason Ricci. They'll do a little and puff some air out, and it just sort of is a percussive, natural thing that blues players do. Okay, and it feels like I'm kind of slapping when my foot is tapping. I might be slapping more than that, yeah, maybe both tap and up, but there's definitely some slapping going on. So play around with that, and you'll find your own rhythm to that. It doesn't need to be just like mine, but definitely a good place to use some slaps here. Okay, and then this whole intro thing is kind of, I think there's a Doc Watson song called Texas Blues, and he pretty much opens his solo. So it's pretty, I'm not the first one to play it, and I doubt Doc was the first one either. Maybe he was, but shout out to Doc Watson and the Texas Blues there. But yeah, it's a good, simple way to get into the solo there. Okay, and then the next part is just hitting a bunch of 3-draw half step ins. Okay, so wah, wah, wah. Those are all half step ins, and then whole step in, and then 2 draw twice. And then that last 2 draw, I kind of slap into that one. Okay, and that 1-2 draw there is just sort of like a pull off of that 2 draw. Just to give it a little percussive thing there before we play that 1 blow. Measure 6, it starts on a 1 blow. And then that 1-2 blow, there's actually, we're going to take the harp out of our mouth a little bit and go ta. You can still let some air pass through the harmonica, but if you don't, it's fine too. So either way, just do a ta there, whether you're playing through the harmonica or taking the harp out of your mouth. And then it's a triplet, 1 blow, 2 blow, 3 blow. Okay, and then it's 3 draw, whole step in, 2 draw, and then 2 chords after that. Okay, and I don't know if I mentioned this, this is the only part of the solo that's really puckered. So yeah, this whole measure 6 and 7 are all pucker. So they're the exact same, so that's measure 6 and 7 there. Yeah, sorry, let's backtrack to measure 6 and 7. I forgot to mention that's, I kind of got that from D. Ford Bailey. I think it was his Alcoholic Blues, or there's one of his tunes, he kind of does that. Oh yeah, so D. Ford Bailey inspired there for sure. But it also is cool, I don't know if this was Coulter doing it first, he does this cool walk up on the guitar. And when I play, or in measure 7, and it kind of goes along with that solo, what I'm doing in the solo kind of nicely. So that was a really cool moment that I thought was neat there. Okay, let's go to measure 8 now. So this, there's a bunch of half step ins on the 3 draw happening here, and also a whole step drop in, and also a triplet in this measure, so it's a little tricky, but it goes wah, wah, wah. Those are all 3 draw half step ins, then a 4 draw, ba, and then the triplet starts on the 3 draw half step in, ba da da. 3 draw half step in, 3 draw whole step in, 2 draw, that's your triplet. And then we're going to play 2 blow, and then sort of a ta, 1, 2, just sort of a chuck there at the end of that measure, so. So that there is measure 8. Measure 9 is going to be more 3 draw half step ins, and then also some chord and tongue block action there. And again, I'm switched back to tongue blocking at this point. you can definitely add some wah, some hand wah on each of these bends. Okay, so after those 4 3-draw half-step bends, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 draw. And then 2 5-blow octave split, and you can slap into that. And then back to the 1, 2, 3, 4 draw. There. But yeah, let's jump back up to measure 10 now. Okay, and then so this is going to be more tongue block. So that's measure 10 and 11. So it's just doing the 2-hole splits, 2 5-draw, 2 5-blow, 1 4-draw, 2 5-blow. And then the next measure is pretty much the same. 2 5-draw, 2 5-blow, 1 4-draw, and then a 2-draw to end that measure also. Okay, and I think on the recording I'm doing a little bit of a tongue waggle. Especially on that 2 5 draw. And the 1 4 draw. But I think I remember hearing a little bit of that on the recording. So yeah, that's another thing you can do to just add a little more to that, make it a little crunchier. And yeah, and then we're doing this a similar, or so measure 12 is very similar to measure 8. It's pretty much the exact same, except it just, instead of hitting 1 2 blow at the end, it hits 1 draw. Okay, and then so yeah, so that's measure 12 there, very similar to measure 8. Okay, and then so that's 2 draw, 1 2 draw, twice, and then so it's like, that's how it would sound. Okay, and on this now, that 3 draw is going to start the yodel lick. So that's the tricky part. I think on the record I might have puckered this, but I wish I had tongue blocked it. It sounds like maybe I puckered it. But yeah, it starts 3 draw, 4 blow, 4 draw, half step in, 4 draw. Okay, and then it jumps up a major 6 to the 7 draw. So it jumps 4 draw, 7 draw, 4 draw, 7 draw twice. And then the second time it goes to the 4 draw, it bends down, 4 draw, half step in, then 4 blow. And then 4 blow, 6 draw, 4 blow, 6 draw. And then 3 draw, half step in, 3 draw, 6 blow. And that's all I played on the record. So, but you can go, and that would be 4 6 draw, 4 7 draw, just to end that out. Or you could do an overblow. Yeah. Or do something like that. I think on the record though I just held that 6 blow. So you can pucker it, but it's a lot of risky jumps. It's actually a lot easier to do if you can do it tongue switched, or tongue switch this, which means you're jumping between a single note on the left side of your mouth to a single note on the right side of your mouth. And you know, the 4 to 7, that's a 2-hole split, so we're already pretty much, that's our standard our standard tongue block embouchure. And I think it sounds a lot better, and it really is. It's kind of a safer jump when you're using that tongue block, because you're not just jumping so randomly. Your right side should pretty much already be in place, but at first it's really tough to do that. But it's something to think about and something to try, you know. And I do it now. I might have done it on the record. I can't remember, but it doesn't sound like I did. The tone sounds a little different. than the rest of the solo. So, anyways, that's the solo. So let's talk about or let's play the whole solo slowly, and then we'll talk about the fills and stuff. 1, 2, 3. Again, like I said, I have a Patreon if you want to go over there. I'm gonna be doing a little more in-depth dive into like how to chuck and stuff, but we're gonna go over it here a little bit. So on the Lefty Frizzell recording where they do, I think, or whichever one Wayne Rainey is playing on, he's doing this cool chuck. So yeah, that's pretty much like lifted from what he did there, or totally got that idea of doing the sh part in there. But yeah, so this is it's going to be 2 inhales, and this is all happening on the 1, 2, 3 pretty much for our chucking. So in the first 2 is going to be yuck. So when you pull into that yuck from the E, it kind of pops the note a little bit. Okay, and then there's a sh on there, so that X, it means you just sh. And you can let it go into the harp a little bit. So that you can you can take your lips off and still get a puff of air to go through the harmonica, but also around the harmonica. Okay, and then the next part, the first 1, 2, 3 draw after that X is a duck. And then it's like coo, duck, coo. So, yuck, sh, duck, coo, yuck, sh, duck, coo, yuck, sh, duck, coo, yuck, sh. That's our chucking pattern. So, and the reason like, it might sound a little goofy, but the reason we do it, or we talk about it with those consonants, is because that's getting your mouth to do the percussive elements that are going to make it sound nice and sound like some good chucking. Okay, so that's pretty much the first 3 measures and the 4th measure, except on the 4th one, when you do the duck coo instead of duck coo, it's just ducka. So just 2 inhales on that chuck. So let's go through the first 4 measures here. 1, 2, here we go. Or so it'd be duck duck on the last one. Okay, and then for the next measure, it's I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that's chucking over the 1 chord, because this is basically like a 12-bar blues. So the first 4 measures are the 1 chord. The next 2 measures are the 4 chord. So we got to do something that goes along with that chord there. So we're going to change the breath direction. We're going to start on the exhale. So it's 2 exhales, he yuck. And then we still do the sh on the exhale. And that's tricky because there's a lot of exhales in a row on this one. Because even the next part, for where we were doing the duck coo on the last part, it's a t-ka on this one. T-ka. T-ka, he-ya. it's a little trickier, and you know, I was, you know, laying so far back in the mix during that because he's singing over that part. So you know, it's not super important to get all the shs and the tucks and whatnot in there, but you do want to be hitting that blow chord on the when the downbeat is hitting, or the off, you know, just throughout those two measures. Just know that it's on the 4 chord. Okay, and then we go back into the 1 chord chucking pattern. And it does that for 2 measures, and then on measure 9, it does a 1/4 draw split. So yeah, and on a standard harmonica, we don't have the 5 chord, which is what's going on. And it goes to the 5 chord for measure 9, and measure 10, it's the 4 chord. So yeah, we do have the 5 chord, but it's a minor, so it's not going to quite fit over this as a chucking option. But we can just do that 1/4 draw split there on the downbeat and just get out of the way. You can kind of pull off, and then 1/4 blow for measure 11. Okay, and then this is kind of a fun lick I was doing when we were recording this. So that's just two draws, 2 blow, 1 blow, 1 draw, 1 draw, 2 blow, 1 draw, 2 draw. So you can do that puckered and just tongue those notes, or at least the inhale notes. So those first two draws and the 2 1 draws, those are tongued, not tongued. These are tongued, and then so just those 4 notes are tongued. But you can also do it tongue blocking. And that's just so there's a combination of slapping and stuff going on there, but I won't get into that. So we weren't finished with the first verse stuff yet, so that's measure 11 into 12, and then 13's another 1/4 draw, because this is where Coulter's yodeling. Okay, I would do something like that. So the 1/4 draw, 1/4 blow on measure 14, and then that's how you get out of measure 14. So on the and of 3, it's 1/4 draw, 1/4 blow, then 3 draw half step in. Okay, and then it's sort of the lick we just did again, except there's no 2 draws to start it off. It's just 1 2 draw. Okay, and then to lead into the second verse, I went into a 2 draw whole step in. Okay, and yeah, and then we're into the second verse fill. So let's go ahead and jump in there. Okay, and then this is going to start off with the 2 draw. So kind of doing like a chucking thing while he's singing, because it's okay, and then I do really the first fill once he's finished singing there, and it's that's that fill. So it's 3 draw half step in, 2 draw, 4 blow, 3 draw half step in, 4 draw, 4 blow, 3 draw half step in, 2 draw, 2 draw whole step in, 1 draw, 2 draw. Okay, and then just another 2 draw on the next measure. Okay, and then here's doing some hand wah stuff. So it's going to be 1 long 3 draw half step in, and then 4 more short 3-draw half step bends, 3-draw whole step bend, the 2-draw. Something like that. Okay, and yeah, to get that wah, you know, you don't need to move much, but you need to have a tight cup around the harmonica, and it can kind of help if you're. I kind of move my 2 fingers here in this, but a lot, you know, go listen to like Gary Primich. He's got the best hand wah, or Nick Clark. Their hand wah technique is just really phenomenal. Ronnie Shellis, really great hand wah. And I think a lot of those guys do it from by doing this with their wrists, maybe not from the top. So, but I do it right here. I kind of just lift my 2 fingers on my left hand and just do that. But yeah, so that's that little part there. So. That's how I get into measure 9. That's a 2-draw, 1-draw, 2 blow, 1 blow, 1 draw. Okay, and I do one of those 2-draw whole step in, 1-draw, 2-draw whole step in. I think I do a boo doo 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 doo, like do a little flip on that second 2-draw whole step in. Okay, and because that is when the tune is on the 5 chord, so if you raise that up to a half step bend, that would be the 3rd in that 5 chord. There, I don't think I did that intentionally. I think that was just a lucky thing that happened. Okay, then and then I didn't really do too much. I don't know why I put that 1-draw, 2-draw there. You can hear me playing it, but it's not really a fill or anything. So let's just go to measure 11. 1. So that's kind of a neat one. It comes in on the and of 1, so it would be like 1. Okay. And yeah, that's very similar to the lick that started in measure 3 of this part. Just kind of added a little more on the front end there, but other than that, very similar. Oh yeah, and then on the end there, I do a little triplet. Yuckata. On those 1, 2, 3 blows there. So the bottom line, starting from measure 13, would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's into the solos there. So, anyways, you can go listen to the recording to hear all those fills. But yeah, that's how they're played, or at least how I played them on the record. Thank you for watching this video, and there will definitely be more Coulter Wall tutorials coming up, and I got some other stuff planned for the YouTube channel. Let me know in the comments if you have any ideas for videos or content you want to see more of. And of course, go to my Patreon and subscribe there. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe this video. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Keep on harping.